This is Chapter 3, Part 3, Classical Greek Civilization. In classical Greece, tragic and comic plays based on Greek myths were typically performed in open-air hillside theaters as part of the annual festivals in honor of Dionysius, the god of wine and fertility. The most of these festivals, the Great Dionysia, again think Mardi Gras, was established in Athens in 534 BCE. Its main event was a 3-day tragedy competition in which great playwrights such as Aeschylus, Sophocles, and Euripides presented their powerful dramas before panels of judges and audiences of thousands in the specially constructed theater of Dionysius. Greek ritual choruses had long chanted unison hymns in praise of Dionysius, and according to tradition, a choral leader named Thespis changed the ritual performance forever when he stepped out from the chorus to speak to them, becoming a character separate from the chorus. Thus he bears the honorary title of the first actor, Thespian. Performers in the theater to this day are referred to as thespians. Later, the addition of the second actor provided the possibility of dialogue between characters, and then plots and characters continued to grow in complexity and sophistication with the addition of a third actor, but official contest rules forbade more than 3 actors, meaning the actor often had to perform multiple roles. Women were allowed to attend the plays, but they were not allowed to perform. The Greek theaters typically seated several thousand spectators. Performers were masked to make their identities masks of their characters to make identities and their characters more easily identifiable to the large audience. The performance space consisted of a large circular floor called an orchestra. At the rear of the orchestra, opposite the audience, was a building, typically used by the main actors for entrances and costume changes. This entrance often doubled as scenery performance, representing a palace or temple. In front of the scene was a raised platform called the proskenion, which provided the primary performance area for the main characters. On either side of the orchestra was an entry path called the parados, used for entrances and exits, especially by the chorus and minor characters. Semicircular rows of stone seats were set into the face of hills, and the seating area, the theatron, utilizes the ground's natural slope for stadium seating and provided a highly efficient acoustical arrangement with the sound bouncing off the hillside. Now, Greek tragedy was defined by the philosopher Aristotle, who described it with precise guidelines for composing tragic plots. The tragedy, he wrote, is an imitation of serious actions, written in rhythmic versions which arouse feelings of fear and pity in the observer. In the best tragic plots, a good but flawed man, whose tragic flaw is often called hubris, or excessive pride, makes some error in judgment which sets in motion events leading to the reversal of fortune, a fearful and pitiable downfall from happiness to misery. In the process, he makes a discovery of his error, but his change to knowledge comes too late to save him from his fate. Aristotle's ideas about tragedy, in one form or another, have governed the form for nearly 2.5 millennia, most significantly during the Renaissance and Neoclassical periods. Now, one of the things that Aristotle insisted about tragedy was that it was important to watch and participate in for the catharsis, and that is the audience has these feelings aroused in them so strongly that they are purged out. Purged is the catharsis by watching, and so they leave feeling much better. Now, the major Greek playwright for tragedies Aeschylus was the author of the oldest intact play and the only surviving trilogy, which contains Agamemnon, which you might have heard of. He added a second actor, thus making the dialogue the more prominent feature of the play. He established the custom of funding for the prize with 3 dramas, and his themes include moral, religious, and political issues and destinies of the communities. Sophocles wrote more than 125 plays over 60 or more years, winning 18 to 24 first prizes. 8 of his plays survive, including Antigone, Oedipus, Tyrannus, and Electra. He added an actor, giving more dimension to characters and relationships. He gave the dialogue its full development. He's credited with the introduction of painted scenery, and he further reduced the choral parts, although the beautiful choral odes are closely connected with the business of the play and appropriate in their sentiments. Euripides was less popular in Athens than the other 2. He took less part in social life and wrote more of his plays alone in an island cave. 18 of his plays survive, including Medea, Electra, and the Bacchua. He further reduced choral involvement. He put multidimensional anti-heroes in central roles. His plays are driven more by character than plot, and action and emotion in his plays are realistic. Medea was the anti-hero that he centralized as a main character in his play. Greek comedy came about in several phases as well. The first was known as Old Comedy. It was dominated by the playwright Aristophanes. His plays were burlesque or spoofs of mythological plots, often mocking figures of heroism. They featured wild creative journeys full of imaginative creations and situations and crazy creatures, such as animal choruses. Full of song and dance, obscenities, puns, wordplay, and physical humor. The plays also featured a sharp satire and harsh attack on political events and figures of the time. In classical Greece, tragic and comic playwrights interpreted their culture's well-known myths in order to publicly express their philosophical and political views, making the theater a powerful tool for shaping opinion and debating policy in Athens' democratic society. After the Macedonian conquest of Greece, comedy moved away from the daring personal and political satire of Aristophanes. Lacking complete political independence, writers of this new comedy found themselves moving towards safer, more mundane subject matters. Menander and other playwrights found their source material in the bustle of Athens streets. Their characters were drawn from the cooks, merchants, farmers, soldiers, and slaves who populated the city. Plots revolved around young girls and love, miserly fathers concerned with the sexual or financial misbehavior of their children, long-lost relatives, etc. So as much other art we've discussed, as the theater evolved, it was moving away from strictly religious subjects to focus more on humanist ones.